All right. So I was creating courses. That's what I was doing. But I had 4 major challenges, 4 major problems. Okay. These are problems I was having, and it was really, really a big problem for me. Okay. The first problem I had is I had a small audience. I had an email list. It was embarrassing. It was like maybe 100 people. It was a very small audience. I had nobody to actually speak to or to sell to, right? And this can be incredibly frustrating because you have this great product, but you have nobody to sell to. The second problem or challenge I had is I had no sales system for my audience. Like, even if I had an audience, I had no system to sell them my products. I had no way to kind of say, hey, this is what I have. This is what I want to, this is the value that I can convey to you. This is the problems it solves for you. I had no system for that. I also had no retention system to keep the customers I had. Which is something a lot of new business owners neglect. They're worried about growth in sales, but they forget about keeping customers they have to keep them active and keep them happy, but also to have people come back and buy more products and buy more services from you. So I had no system for that at all, right? And I had no new customer acquisition system, which is I had no way to get new customers from other audiences, right? So these were like huge, huge pain points for me. And I was struggling. I was really struggling to sell my courses. I'm going to pop a poll right now. And you're going to see this poll on your end. And I want you to tell me, which challenge do you have? Okay. Do you have the challenge of small audience? This is anonymous, by the way. Small audience. Do you have no system to sell to your audience? Do you have no system to keep your customers? What about acquiring customers? Do you have a system to acquire new customers, or all the above? And it's totally cool if you're all the above. No problem whatsoever. Okay. Because I was all the above for a very long time, and it was very, very frustrating. Okay. So and it's good to get a pulse because everybody's kind of around, and I'm glad that I'm able to add value in some area today. So these were my challenges, right? And I was like, how am I going to get past these challenges so I can have a business on my hands, so I can make some money? John Wright, all of these, I love it. 1 through 3, I love it. Okay, so say the least, I was frustrated, right? Because I knew I created a great product. I knew that I had some good value to convey, but I had no one to speak to. I had no systems in place. You know, at the same time, I got to pay my rent. I got to pay my bills. And it's just like really frustrating, right? I'm smiling right now and laughing about it, but it wasn't it wasn't funny back then. Okay. It was really, really upsetting. But then I discovered webinars. I realized, okay, wait a minute. There's a way for me to be able to get in front of an audience and build my audience, and build these systems with webinars. Now, for me, webinars are kind of like, wow, like the penny dropped. Like all of a sudden, it was just like this eureka moment. Because for those who don't know, I was a teacher for 13 years, right? And I saw webinars as this way for me to get in front of people and teach them why my product is something that they may want to have and it can help them out. And I realized, okay, with webinars, I may be able to solve those 4 major problems. And slowly, I built some systems to build my audience, to be able to have a system to sell to the audience that I have, and to keep the customers that I had, as well as bring in new customers, right, from other sources. I don't have to rely on paid ads and things like that. So I want to show you today how I solve these 4 problems with webinars, right? I want to show, and these are the 4 ways we're going to grow our business. Okay. If this is something that is interesting to you, something that you are ready to learn, something that you feel like would be beneficial to you, give me a thumbs up, give me a hell yeah, give me a smiley face, give me something in the chat. Let me know you're alive. I want to see a pulse here, right? I want to hear this from you. Yes, smiley face, hell yeah, big Y. I love it. Thanks, guys. I like to encourage as much interaction as possible, because the more you do, the more you learn. I love it. Terry, love it. Yes. Okay, good. Love it, Jay. Love it, Lala. Great. Okay, so I want to say that I built these systems, and from that point on, from 2013, I started running webinars regularly, and I've run over 500 webinars in my career since then. And we've been able to build a great business and be able to sell these courses, and as well as build this software business. And the vast majority of all our revenue is directly tied to running webinars. So I'm saying this because I am converted. Like this is why I built WebinarNinja, is because I believe I was building courses to help people build businesses and grow their businesses. But I realized, wait a minute, webinars are really helping grow my business. And I felt like I can make a greater impact if I can build a tool that can help people build their businesses, grow their businesses easily. And that's when I decided, okay, I want to make it an easy way to build a webinar and run webinars. And that's when Webinar Ninja was born. This is when the software was born. And we started back in 2014 in April with a really small beta of 250 users. And now we've grown to over 1 million people have attended or hosted a webinar on Webinar Ninja. A huge, huge growth. And we're so proud of that. But the reason I believe the growth is there is because we just simplified things. We made things a lot easier for people to run webinars and build these systems in place. Okay, I just wanted to give you a little background of where I've come from and why I've built Webinar Ninja and why I believe in webinars so much. Okay, so let's move right along. Remember these 4 challenges. Okay, we're going to go through each one and we're going to solve each of them with webinars. Okay, so we have small audience, no sales system to sell to the audience, no retention system to keep the customers we have. We work so hard to get these customers and then we just let them go. We don't have them buy again from us, right? And no new customer acquisition system, okay? So the first one, I had a small audience, right? So the solution is to create an email building machine with webinars. I need a way to grow my audience on autopilot, grow my audience so that way people are coming into my email list and I have people that are interested in what I have to say, right? People have an interest in what I have to, more importantly, sell to them so they can feel like, okay, I've built some trust with these people so that way I can sell them later on. And we'll talk about the sales system in a moment, but this is step 1. Again, we're talking about audience here, growing our audience. Okay, so this is what we're going to do to create an email building machine. Okay, email building machine is we're going to build that email list on a regular basis. Step 1 is that we're going to create an Ask Me Anything webinar. Okay, a lot of people get nervous about their first webinar. They're like, I don't know what to do. What about my slides? What about my presentation? How do I interact? Don't worry about any of that stuff. Your first webinar should be an Ask Me Anything webinar, an open Q&A webinar, or basically, if you're a fitness expert. Who's the fitness expert? I remember we had somebody here, Brian, right? Brian said that he's going to be doing some workout videos in front of people or workout classes in front of people. So this is his area of expertise. I'm going to use, if you don't mind, Brian, I'm going to use you as an example. So Brian, you're going to be talking about how to maybe get fit for the summertime or something like that, right? How to lose 10 pounds in 60 days or whatever it is. I don't know what's healthy. Is that healthy? I don't know. So you're going to be have an open Q&A where you just invite people to say, hey, if you have any questions about fitness, health, getting in shape, all that kind of stuff, right? You're just going to be answering questions. And your whole goal here is just to get people to come to your webinar so they can just ask questions. That's it. You're not trying to sell anything. You're not trying to sell them on your products, nothing like that. What you're trying to do here is just get people to ask some questions. And it's totally okay. It's totally okay if you have 3 or 4 or 5 people on that webinar. That's fine. The purpose of this webinar is to get topics, is to get questions. Okay. And I'll tell you what I mean. Okay. So Julie says social media, websites, etc. Yes, you can definitely invite people on social media. Say, hey guys, I'm doing an open Q&A. If you're ever curious about how to change habits in fitness or get better in fitness or feel better about your health, nutrition, whatever it is, I'm going to be available to have an open Q&A. Here's my link. This is the date and time. And I like to give 2 weeks notice, and then you can remind people. You can do it on Facebook groups. You could do it on Facebook page. You could do it on Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to do. You can invite whatever small email list you have or the existing email list you have. You can invite current customers you have or clients to share it. Say, hey, customers, you love what I do. Share this link with people that you think they'll be interested in learning more. So what you're going to do is you're going to build a webinar around this Ask Me Anything. Well, so step 1, we're going to run this webinar, and I'll show you how we're going to set this up later, okay? So once we set up the webinar, we're going to be answering questions from the crowd. Hey, guys, please go ahead and ask me some questions. You can even ask people to ask questions beforehand, so you have questions ready to get started with, and I'll show you how to do that. But the point here is that you want people to ask questions. Why? Because these questions become the topics you can cover in the future. You'll notice in those webinars that this is a hot question. People are asking about this. People are really having some struggles with this area. And at the end of that Ask Me Anything webinar, you're going to check out your questions. We save all your questions inside your account, and you're going to build a webinar around that hot topic. You're going to choose one question that got asked, right? So in Brian's example, somebody might ask, I'm dying for a six-pack, right? How do I get a six-pack, right? So Brian might be saying, okay, everybody was asking about that question. Everybody was kind of concerned about that question. I'm going to run a whole webinar about how to get a six-pack in 16 weeks or whatever it is, okay? So that's what the purpose of the Ask Me Anything is. Ask Me Anything webinar is. You might be asking, what does that have to do with building your email list? If only 5 people attend, or I don't have that many people, hang with me. Trust me, this is going to work. We're going to invest a little bit in getting the right topic, because a lot of people say, oh, I don't know what topic to do. And they choose a topic they think is going to be useful. But the best topic is the one that your audience wants to hear about. So we're going to do that. And then after that, we're going to run the live webinar with the hot topic. You're going to create a workshop. You're going to run that webinar with that hot topic. And what you're going to do is, this is going to be a live webinar. Again, the attendees, it's okay if you have low attendees. That's totally fine. But your point here is to run the webinar. Once you run the webinar, you're going to take that live webinar and you're going to turn it into an automated webinar. And now people can register and watch that webinar at their convenience. And that way you're growing your email list on autopilot. Okay. So Jay says, so do you answer questions on the topic? Yeah, sure. You can have an open Q&A, or you have a Q&A section on that topic at the end of the webinar. Totally fine. On the first one, yes, answer the question. Totally. So all the questions you get asked on the Ask Me Anything question, Ask Me Anything webinar, go ahead and answer those questions. Just like any other Ask Me Anything kind of situation, it's like a free consulting coaching session, right? On the Ask Me Anything. And they ask all those questions. It's okay if you answer those questions. You're going to get new attendees. New people are going to have that. If that's a problem people have, you're going to have plenty of people that want the answer to it. So then once you have that recording, once you've done it live, we're going to turn it into an automated webinar and grow your email list on autopilot, because now you have a topic people are interested in, right? And I'll show you how to do that, turn it into an automated webinar. That way, people can watch this webinar, register, give their name and email address, and your email list is growing without you having to do all this work, okay? The problem I was having is that before with no list is that I wasn't offering anything in exchange for their email. Subscribe to my newsletter, download my PDF. What about my white pages? That has no value in today's world. Like, no one really cares about that. What they really want is they want a quick answer to a problem they have. Also, the perceived value of a workshop, of a video that's about an hour long that allows them to really understand and solve that problem, high value workshop, is huge. Okay. So this is really what this is all about. Notice in this whole exercise, I never said sell your product. I never said sell your software, never sell your services, make an offer, none of that. Right? You're not selling anything here. The job of step one is to grow your email list, and you're going to focus on giving as much value as possible in addressing that topic. Everybody cool with step one? Before we go on, give me a thumbs up, say yes, smiley face, give me something in the chat. I want to hear you guys. And we're going to move on to step two. I'm not moving on. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. I'm going to, gotcha. Love it. Cool. All right. Awesome. Terry, love it. Hands up. Juan, love it. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. See, Poppy? Love it. Okay. Next, let's move on. I'm going to go picture in picture to give a little bit more slides for you guys. Okay, boom, more slides. All right, the next problem we had is no sales system for my audience. I had no way to actually have a system. I have this audience now, this email is how do I sell to them, right? How do I have a way to have predictable revenue month over month, right? So we're going to create a webinar sales system and make sales on demand. All right, this was kind of the biggest light bulb moment of me discovering webinars. It's like, wait a minute, when I need to make sales, I can just run webinars? Are you kidding me? This is like an ATM. I know that sounds really cheesy and slimy, and I don't want to be that way, but that's exactly how it felt like. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how to make money. I didn't know how to make sales with my product. So let's solve this problem together. Okay, so before we solve this problem, let's take a look at these people. What do all these people have in common? Okay, we got QVC here. It's been around since the beginning of time. My mom was a huge QVC fan. We used to get QVC packages at the door all the time. We have Gary Vaynerchuk here running a webinar here. We have the Tony Robbins all over TV, right? Selling the ultimate edge here. We have a very famous podcaster and selling courses on how to create a podcast, John Lee Dumas, literally on fire right here. Okay. So what do all these people have in common? Let me know if you have a guess in the chat. All right. All these companies, all these people, what are they doing here? What are they doing? What are they doing with their products? Selling. Jay say they're selling, right? And they're selling, they're promoting, they're talking about their products, right? But they're using the power of live video. They're using the power of video. This is not new. People think webinars are new. They're not new. People have been doing this for ages. Webinars is the same thing as selling in person, except that you're doing it at scale. The reason why Tony Robbins made billions of dollars, with a B, billions of dollars in sales with his programs is because he had a eureka moment. I can't sell everything, at my events every time. That's not at scale. I want to go at scale, and I could just do this by running some commercials on TV late at night, right? So they're all using the power of video to sell their products, right? And you're going to do the same. You have the same power. You could do the same thing. Now you can do it from the comfort of your computer, okay? So let's see how we can do this, all right? We're going to create a live webinar, right? What we're going to do here is we're going to create a live webinar on any topic that you have, okay? You could take one of the questions that you had from the Ask Me Anything questions, or you can take a topic that maybe has come about from your own questions that are coming in from your audience or from social media. You're going to create a live webinar from one of your topics, okay? And then at the end of that webinar, you're going to make an offer. You're going to show them how you can make your life, the best offer is how you can make things easier to implement. So for example, if Brian is going to show you how to get a six-pack in 16 weeks, he's going to say, here are some tips on how to do that. But we all know the reality of exercise. I can give you all the tips, but you're going to need some motivation. You're going to need some coaching. You're going to need some accountability. And this is what I offer with my program. See what I just did here? I showed you, you can build your six-pack, right? I gave you some great tips, things that you can do but most people, it's too hard. So if you want to make it easier on them, you can give them something to make it easier. And that's your software, your book, your program, whatever your product or services it is. At this point, you can invite the list that you just grew with your Ask Me Anything and Autopilot automated webinars. Now you're building an email list. Now you have some people that you can invite to. You're going to invite them, say, hey, I'm running a live webinar. This is the topic. I'm also going to be making an offer as well if anybody wants to get started with my program, and I'll show you how. Okay. Step 3, you're going to set up an email follow-up sequence. This is very important. Most people don't know that most sales happen, on and after the webinar. So you have on the webinar, but most of them happen after the webinar. Follow-up sequence is very important. 15%, this is a statistic that is in published, 15% of all people that attend your webinar will buy, okay? Either on the webinar or after the webinar. So you have to do the follow-up sequence or you're not gonna hit 15%. It's gonna be more like 3%. Okay, so what you want to do is you're going to set up an email follow-up sequence, and you could do this inside of WebinarNinja. I'm going to show you in a moment, right? And you're going to just follow up and let them know what the offer is, as well as what's going to happen if they wait, what the offer will change, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that, right? We're going to run that live webinar with the offer, like I mentioned, and then we're going to repeat this every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Why 2 weeks? Because it gives you enough time to build a momentum as well as to promote that webinar. Whether you're promoting on social, whether you're promoting it to your list, all that kind of stuff, or all the above. Every 2 weeks, you're going to get an influx of sales from webinars. And this is going to be your bread and butter. It's going to be like, okay, every 2 weeks is how much I'm going to make every 2 weeks, and you can bank on it, right? And the funny thing is that what happens is that because you're out there doing webinars, a lot of word of mouth happens. You start to get some momentum, I would say about after webinar 10. After doing 10 webinars, people start talking. People start sharing your webinar on social. People are talking about, hey, I learned a whole bunch of stuff. You start getting people to go on your webinar more than once. They go to your webinar 2, 3, 4 times. They buy and they still go to your webinar because they find value every single time. So you want to do this every 2 weeks to offer that webinar so you can continue to sell to your system. This is a system that you can just follow very easily, and I'll show you how you can easily set that up in WebinarNinja. Okay, so that's step 2. The step 3 is just as important, where we keep the customers we work so hard to get. When I say keep, whether you have a reoccurring business where they pay every month for a fee, like a software or for a membership, or you have an e-commerce business where you're selling a program or you're selling products, you want them to buy again. You want them to come back and buy again. You have to have some way to lower churn and have them retain as customers, repeat as customers. So we're going to do that with webinars. Let me show you how. Number one, you're going to create a live webinar for new customers only. Every time a new customer joins your, buys something from you, joins your program, buys your course, whatever you're selling, right? Every time somebody buys new, you got to invite them to a webinar. And you can do this with an automatic email. As soon as somebody buys, here's a link. I'm running a webinar. And you can do this once a month. That's it. Do it once a month. But every new customer that joins, give them a live webinar. And basically that live webinar is to show them how to get the most out of your product or service. So many people leave your product or service because they don't know what it's capable of. They don't know the features. They don't know how to use it. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming and you got to just hold their hand a little bit. It's going to go way, way farther than anybody else. And you're going to differentiate yourself from that. People are like, wow, I've never had this experience before where somebody actually gets on a webinar and shows me how to do this. This is going to be a small, intimate group because it's just your new customers, not everybody. Okay. Step two, you're going to create a live webinar for all your customers, everybody from the beginning of time, people that have been your customers for 10 years, from the people that have just joined yesterday, right? So these new customers are going to get this webinar as well. So you're going to show them your latest features, your latest modules, your latest tips. You're going to share them some testimonials, some case studies. You're going to give them some value so that they can continue to be your customer or come back and be your customer because you're continuing to give them more than just the product. You're giving them consulting, you're giving them coaching, you're giving them guidance, right? And this is something that's going to differentiate yourself and it's going to make them have a reason to stay, right? You're going to create a follow-up support sequence. And what this is that once they're on that live webinar, you want to have a follow-up email that says, hey, we have your back. You can contact support. You can email me personally if you need any help to implement some of the stuff I taught today or showed you today, right? And then you're going to run to each one of these once a month. So how many webinars are we going to run in total so far? Somebody tell me in the chat. How many in total are we talking about here? We have 4. Eric, great. Eric is a math whiz. Great. So you have the 2 sales webinars you're going to do every 2 weeks, right? And then you have the live webinar you're going to do for new customers and the live webinar for all customers. So you're doing 4 live webinars a month, right? You're going to invest 4 hours. Okay, John, right. I love it. Right. So you're going to run 4 hours of a month. I think that's a very minimal investment to have a well-oiled machine for your business, right? 4 hours. Are you kidding me? I'll do 40 hours if that's what it's going to give me, right? So run one each month. One new one for all new customers and one for all customers. Okay, one. Okay. Guys, I'm going into teacher mode here. Is it really that easy? Jay, I'm going to show you how to create a webinar. And I've been doing this for years. When I say easy, it's going to take work. I mean, you do have to show for the webinar. You do have to create the workshop. You do have to teach. You do have to, I have to get up early because I'm based in Sydney, so I can run these webinars for the States, right? It's a lot of work, right? In terms of like, I have to make some effort. But for me, it's minimal work compared to the struggle I was going through to try to make money and try to sell my products and try to grow my audience. Awesome. Pascal says, what content for the monthly webinar for all? And ask me anything. So the ask me anything, Pascal, is the content comes from the people that are there. People are asking questions, and I'm going to walk you through that whole exercise where you're actually going to ask them to give you questions even beforehand, so you can start with those questions. So that they can email you questions beforehand. I'll show you how to do that with your email notifications. For the monthly webinar, you're going to give them some value. Tell me, Pascal, what your product is. What do you sell? Okay, so I can make it more applicable. Okay, so what you're going to do that monthly for your customers is you're going to make sure that they are getting more value, meaning that they're going to have a better way, or they're going to get content that's going to allow them to utilize your product or service in the best way possible. Most people, they sell a course and they just let it go, right? Here's a course, or they have a product here. If you run this monthly webinar, people can ask questions. They can say, I'm stuck. They can say, do you have any resources? Hey, I'm looking to buy a software to help me with this. Do you have any recommendations? It's a support system. It's a way for people to feel part of the community and a way for them to have access to you. Believe it or not, a lot of people buy because they like you and they have access to you. Okay, cool. Pascal says, a monthly yearly membership that gives access to guides and resources on how to boost leadership, Best management practices for leaders in all industries. Pascal, that's fantastic. You can run a monthly webinar for all your customers and do a book club, right? This month, we're going to be reading Shoe Dog. Shoe Dog is the autobiography of Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. Here, we're going to talk about some of the leadership skills that we learned from that book. It's something that they're going to get extra that's going to keep them going. Or you can give them a brand new workshop in this area, and then you can add that video that you just did from all your webinars to your course materials, right? You're creating content and providing content at the same time. Hope that helped, Pascal. All right, number 4, no new customer acquisition system. This one is huge, okay? This one is going to blow your mind because it did for me, and it helped my business grow tremendously, okay? You're going to offer a win-win to partners with your ideal customers, right? This is something that no one I don't want to say no one, but many people don't talk about this, okay? And it's that you can't build a business alone. You just can't do it. You can't just be in your own little shell in your own little office and not talk to anybody. You have to partner up. You have to talk to other people. You have to build relationships. Some of the growth that we had with this software, WebinarNinja, is because I had some relationships I can rely on and partner up with like-minded businesses and companies that were able to support me and give me customers of their own, and we did the same thing for them. So let me show you how to do that. Can we talk like you and have a video in the background? Yes, we can. Like, do you mean like another video, like a recorded video, Brian? Not sure. Let me know, Brian. Okay, but I'll show. Yes. So yeah, you definitely can do that. I'll give you an example real quick. I'm going to be loading a video right now. This is Elon Musk, guys, coming in from you, a guest teacher, Elon Musk. So, and I can make it the main screen. I can flip back to my slides if I like. So you can insert video at any time if you like.
Welcome back to TED.
Cool. Let's get to the fourth one, and I love Musk, yes. And then we're going to get through all that stuff too, because I want to make sure that we give you an action plan. Okay, so we're going to give a win-win to how we're going to do this. You're going to list 10 products, 10 services that your customers use, 10 people, tastemakers, influencers that you know your customers will use. For example, I'm going to give you an example of my business, WebinarNinja. I know that, for example, a lot of my customers use ConvertKit as their email marketing service. I know that they use Intercom. I know they use a product like WordPress. I know that they go to conferences like MicroConf, things like that. So I'm going to make a list of 10 products, services, people, events that people use, right? That your customers will use, right? Why? Because these are your ideal customers. Okay, these are the people that you want to reach out to, people that are already buying products and they are using other products. So you want to think of those people, think of those companies. And at that point, you're going to reach out to these companies, right? Ideally, you're going to ActiveCampaign, right? I use ActiveCampaign. So one of the things that you want to do is that you want to make sure that you reach out to the companies that you have some relationship with, right? If you don't have a relationship with, you should start building relationships now and go to conferences, attend their webinars, be a customer of theirs. It's okay. The point is that we're going to start with one partnership. What we're going to do is going to find one of these companies, one of these people that your customers use, look up to, like, follow, read their blog, right? And you're going to offer them 100% free training. That's it. You're not selling anything. You're not making any offers. There's no split commission, nothing. All you're going to say is, hey, I want to offer a free training. For example, I'll approach Nathan Barry, founder of ConvertKit. Hey, Nathan, ConvertKit. A lot of my customers use ConvertKit, and I thought maybe it'd be a great idea for me to give a webinar on how to grow your business with webinars. I'm not going to be selling anything, nothing. This is a free workshop that I want to offer to your audience. It's just value. For them, it's great value for their customers. The customers are getting free value. For you, you're going to get in front of an audience. You're going to say, well, what do I do? Well, you're going to be teaching them a workshop. One of the workshops that you have that you've built, you can use the same one that you did for your live webinar for sales, right? And then go ahead and teach that live workshop. What happens is here is you're getting a new channel of customers that are going to be registering for your webinar. Now you have their contact. You have their name and email address. And then you can invite them to a sales webinar later down the line. The reason why I don't want to sell on this one is because I want to build a relationship first. I want to build some trust. All right. I want to give them value and I want to give a win to my partner. Okay. So I want to make sure that they get that. So we give our partner a win and then we're going to invite the new leads to the sales webinar. Okay. Those new leads. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that workshop we had together. we're going to be doing another workshop, and you can be transparent. And I'm also going to be making an offer if you're interested in getting started with my product. This is what it is, but no, no compulsion. You don't have to buy the product. The workshop is still valuable. Invite them to that webinar, and now you have a new channel of customers that are buyers, people that you know are perfect for your product or service. Okay, I love it. And I did this over and over, and I did it actually for other markets that are untapped, right? For example, no one's serving when it comes to webinars or business, no one's serving photographers, right? Photographers are kind of lost, right? They're like their art and their business at the same time. So I said, hey, let me show you how to grow your business with webinars as a photographer, right? So you reach out to a photography blog, and that helps, right? These people are hungry for information, and no one's talking to them. So you could do the same. So let me just go real quick. Karen says, such great common sense marketing ideas. Thanks, Omar. Thanks, Karen. Karen, first of all, I appreciate the comment, but also I wish I could take credit. This is through trial and error, right? I kept on trying different things, and this is what worked. And I just want to share what worked for me. Judy says, how do I apply this number 4 for not-for-profit organizations? We sell professional development, primarily conferences. So if I'm just getting this straight, Judy, you sell professional development to people that run conferences, or do you do it at conferences? You just clarify a little bit who's your customer and who's it for. What's your product and who's it for? Just tell me you run conferences. Sorry, it's paid ads that we track webinar attendees. So Vianetta, right now, what I was trying to lay out for you today is that you don't really need to rely on paid ads if you run through these 4 steps, because you're building your audience through that automated webinar that you've built after your Ask Me Anything webinar. And then from there, you're retaining them. From there, you're bringing new customers. Of course, paid ads is the next level, but I don't recommend this to somebody unless they have enough cash on hand to lose, because running ads can be tricky and you're going to lose some money trying to experiment. And that's just my personal advice to anybody who's getting started with webinars. I want to get back to Judy. Yeah, you could totally do this for a non-for-profit organization. Of course, you're going to be showing them this training for free. These non-for-profit organizations, they also have people that they're connected to, their vendors, what kind of conferences do they go to? What kind of blogs do they read? Where do they frequent? These are the partners you want to partner up with, because those people are going to be interested in what you have to offer. Judy says for social workers. Okay, great. Yes, that's for who is for. Karen says, I live in the Woodlands, Texas, just north. Okay, great, Karen. Great to have you here. Nice place, Karen. Okay. Vianetta, understood. Where do we get the initial webinar attendees? So in your Ask Me Anything, this is what I'm trying to convey. A lot of people think that their first webinar, they got to get all these attendees. Vianetta, if you have Vinita, if you have 10 to 20 people you can personally reach out to that you would be interested in your topic, former clients, people that are on your email list, you could put this on your website, on your header, or in the on the side of your blog, a link to your registration page. You could put it on social media. The point of the Ask Me Anything is not to have a big crowd. It's to get enough people so you can have a conversation with 4, 5, 6 people to ask questions. Okay. Once you have that, then you got a topic. Then you re-invite these people to this new topic, and then again you're going to invite people on social. Again, this is not supposed to be this huge thing. You can have 5 or 10 people attend. It's a rinse and repeat, but now we're running a workshop with that topic. And now, once I have that video that recorded from that live webinar, I can run an automated webinar, and then from that point, I can start marketing. And these are the places I feel that are totally untapped. Number 1, your website. You're getting traffic on your website normally anyway. People are coming to you, so make sure that you have a link on the header, free training in the header, like in the menu. Clicks and it goes to your registration page for that automated webinar. On your blog, on the bottom of your blog post, hey, you got to the bottom of the blog post, you seem serious about this topic, I have a free training you can attend, here's a link. Bottom of your blog post. In your email signature, your normal email signature, put it in your email signature. People are going to see your email, free training on this topic, put it right there. I also recommend that you actually elicit some stuff, like you're part, say for example, you're part of a group in Facebook, and you're discussing things. Groups are a great way to kind of get the conversation going. This is what I do. I'm running a workshop. You don't have to advertise it. Some groups are kind of sensitive to that, but you can just say, hey, this is what I do. People will check out your website and then see the link there. Okay. So these are just some quick tips on how to market once you have that automated webinar set up, which I'll show you in a moment. Okay. So now everybody's clear on number 4, the acquisition system, partnering up with people. This is gold, guys. Super gold. Okay. Right. So let's talk about action plan. You have to do this. You have to build your email list building machine with the Ask Me Anything, and then convert it into a live webinar. And that live webinar becomes an automated webinar. We talked about this, and I'll show you step by step in a moment. We got to create a webinar sales system. We're going to create that churn busting retention system. We're going to create the ideal acquisition, the ideal customer acquisition system, where we're targeting ideal customers through our partnerships. Okay. Now, you might be saying, okay, this is great in theory, wonderful, but how? How do I do this, Omar? How do I actually physically do this? Okay, how do I actually put this together, the technology, all that stuff, okay? And this is where I want to show you how we can make this easier for you with WebinarNinja. I'm practicing what I'm preaching here. I gave you some good content, some great value, but I want to show you, if you want to make your life easier, you can choose to do it with our software, WebinarNinja. Let me show you what you can do to put into place at least the first step, that first customer build your email list acquisition, and then we can do them all as well with WebinarNinja. But I want to give you some homework, something you could do. But most people, if I wanted to do this, if I wanted to do creating an email building machine, if I wanted to create a webinar, most people are going to have to, create a landing page, have a landing page software, or have some programmer do it for them. Do the same thing for a thank you page. They're going to have to set up email reminders. They're going to have to design and create a replay page. So if you want to offer a replay to the live webinar that you're going to be running, people have to make sure it all works seamlessly with all the different tools. If you're using multiple software, which I had to do initially before I built WebinarNinja, then you have to do it over and over again every time. Every time you have to make sure all this stuff works properly and it all integrates. And then you have to pay for it, right? Most of the times, all these pieces of software, webinar software, landing page software, email marketing software, all that stuff is going to cost you around $6,000 a year to run. When I used to do this is what I used to do to run webinars. And I thought, this is ridiculous. This is stupid. Why is this costing me so much? And why is it such a pain? And this is why I scratched my own itch and built WebinarNinja. So I want to show you how we can take action right now. And we're going to do step 1 together, right? I'm going to walk you through how to build that Ask Me Anything webinar. I'm going to show you how to build a webinar around that hot topic that we get from the Ask Me Anything, the very hot question people are asking. We're going to run a live webinar, show you how live webinars work. And I'm going to show you how to turn it into an automated webinar and grow your list on autopilot. Everybody ready? I'm going to share my screen, go into WebinarNinja and show you. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Share my screen. Share. Okay. All right, I'm inside of WebinarNinja. So our first step, just so we're clear, we're going to create that Ask Me Anything webinar. So I'm going to hit Create Webinar at the top. We always have this link up top here. Let me just go full screen real quick to make it easier. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just zoom in here so everybody can see. All right. I'm going to create an Ask Me Anything. So let me just do open Q&A. Open Q&A. Get fit and healthy. Okay, this is just an example. We're going to create a topic, a title for our open Q&A. Open Q&A. Get fit and healthy. Ask me anything you want. Okay, my host is already filled out because this is my account. Well, I just choose a time. Let's say we do at 1 p.m. For perfect. You can do 45 minutes. Up to you. These Ask Me Anything webinars, flexible. 45 minutes to an hour is fine. Okay, once I have that information, I'm creating this live webinar for my Ask Me Anything. That's the first step, right? We're going to create that webinar. Let's see what the next step is in creating the webinar, okay? Luckily, with WebinarNinja, there is no next step. That's it. We've created everything for you. All those things I talked about. Your registration page that you had to design and create, done. You want to create a thank you page, it's already created for you. We do this all in the background. Your email notifications, all the stuff you need to do to run your webinar is created. And if you want, for any reason, to edit them later on, change the defaults, do anything, you could do that if you like. So, for example, if I want to change the registration page, I can do that by just going into my account and just do edit registration page. This is the registration page I like to use. This is my default registration page, right? But I can change the template if I like, and edit that template. So for example, if I want to go simple, I can go with this one right here. And I can change my colors. I can change my images if I like. I can upload a new image. I can choose one that we have from the gallery. Okay, so this is our images from the gallery that we offer to you. So say, for example, we're doing fitness. So I'll choose something that is fitness oriented. So I'm going down here. This guy's got racquetball. Cool. We do this. I don't know if that's squash or racquetball. I'm not sure. So, and then I can change colors. I can change the font. I can do all this kind of stuff if I like. Okay, up to me. When I'm happy with it, I can preview it. It's going to show me what it looks like on the other tab. Looks good. Okay, and I'm going to hit save when I'm happy. When I hit save, what's great about it is I can save this as a copy to my media library. So I can create my own templates, save them so I can use them later for different webinars. I can also save it as default, which means that I don't have to do this again. Every time I create a webinar, it allows me to choose this template that I just created as default. That way it's done, right? And I don't have to worry about it. So once I kind of modify it and change it in the way I like it, I'm happy. I hit save, all done. I'm going to hit save, and you're done, okay? Same thing with your thank you page. This is the page they see after they register. So after they register, they see a thank you page. And this is just to say, hey, thanks for registering. Check your email. We sent you the information about the webinar, the date, the time, the link, all that stuff. We also have an add to calendar feature, so they can add it to their calendar so they don't miss it. They get reminders on their calendar. I have a video. I'm using the video template, which says, hey, thanks. It's a personal message. It says, thanks for joining the webinar or registering for the webinar. And I tell them to use the add to calendar feature as a reminder. But if you don't want to do a video, no problem. You can use our simple template here, and there's no video on this template. So again, you can modify anything you want, but the point here is that if you don't want to modify, you just want to run with it, if you just want to do this thing already, then you don't have to. We have defaults for you set up for you. Okay, so we said, ask me anything. Remember I said that, hey, it'd be a good idea to ask people, do you have any questions? Submit questions early, and then I'll answer them first on the webinar. That way you have a few questions to answer at the start of the webinar. Well, you can easily do that by going to your email notifications. These are the emails they get when they register. So when they register, they get a confirmation email that says, hey, you've registered. They get reminders like, hey, it's tomorrow, it's the next day, it's an hour from now, it's starting now. And then you also have follow-up emails saying, hey, this is what you missed, and here's a replay, all that kind of stuff. But in that confirmation email, you could say, hey, thanks for registering. You can edit this information and say, thanks for registering. I appreciate you, joining us on the webinar. And on the bottom, you could say, if you have any questions, submit them here. Reply to my email, and they'll reply, and you'll get the email that says, if you have any questions, ask them now. You can say that right here. So when they register, they're prompted to ask questions beforehand. And that way you have these questions that you can start with at the start of the Ask Me Anything webinar. So really simple. And what you could do is you can also save this as default. So that way the next webinar you create, the email copy that you wrote will save, and you can use it over and over again. As you can see, we have little shortcuts here as well, like webinar date and time, webinar title. The reason why we have these is that way it auto-populates with your webinar information, your webinar specific information. That way you don't have to worry about misspelling something, writing the wrong date, all that kind of stuff. And you can reuse it for future webinars. Really, really cool. Okay. A lot of thought, a lot of experience got put into these ideas through doing tons of webinars. You can also add email notifications. Remember I said, hey, we have to follow up with them and give them a follow-up sequence. You can send an email and say, hey, I want to send an email, 2 days after the webinar ends. And then I can create a webinar, create an email for that. And I can specify everybody who's registered, people that only attended, or people that did not attend, all that kind of stuff. And then you can send that, or you can schedule that webinar, as you can see, like relative to time, or manual, which is like a broadcast. So we have built-in email marketing that you can have right inside of WebinarNinja. So let's go inside the studio to show you what it looks like when you run your Ask Me Anything webinar. Okay, so we're going to go into the studio real quick. Actually, I'm going to actually go into my own studio right now. Let me, because that way you can see the questions and all that stuff. So I'm going to exit out. I'm going to go into my own studio. Okay. And as you could see, I'm in my studio here. This is the polls area under the video. I have questions right here from lots of people that I'll be answering. Okay. But I'll answer John Wright's question just to show you how the question feature looks like. So here we have everything you need inside of your studio. This is where you run your webinar. This is where you're going to do your Ask Me Anything webinar. And I'm going to answer John's question. So we have a button that says Start Answering. When I want to start answering this question, I'm going to hit Start Answering. I'll show you why this is important. So I'm going to say, John asks, how to spend budgets wisely / best practices for online video promotion. So this is a question that he has. So to answer your question, John, you want to be able to promote and you want to be able to spend money. I think the best way to spend money is to hire somebody that can help you do partnerships, right? Even if they're part-time. Partnerships are the best because, one, you're selling to people that are already interested in products like yours. There are buyers, and you're coming vouched. So if I go and do a webinar with ConvertKit, for example, Nathan's vouching for me, saying these people are legit. They're not scammers. They're worth your time. So watch their webinar, right? And if you can have somebody that can help you do that, that'll be the best money spent. Right? You could do yourself, of course, but I believe you should do partnerships before you spend any money on ads or Facebook or any of that kind of stuff, because this is like guaranteed audience, right? The conversion is so much higher because it's not cold. It's not cold traffic. That's my quick answer. So now that I'm finished that answer, I'm gonna hit Stop Answering. Once I hit Stop Answering, sorry, I hit it twice. Sorry there. So once I hit Stop Answering, it's gonna go to Answer column right here. Sorry about that, guys. So then I'll be able to see all the answered questions here at the end of the webinar. I can also run polls right here, create polls, and I can add as many answers as I like to my polls. I can also create an offer. So I'll show my offer when we do the offer, but I can show and hide and do a timed offer. I also have chat here on my right where I can hit chat. Hello. Right? And I can also, of course, add emojis like on your end. I can upload my slides directly into WebinarNinja. So that way I can just upload my slides right into PowerPoint and do that. I can upload a video and show a video just like I showed before. So this is where I'm going to be managing all my questions and all that stuff during the Ask Me Anything section. So now let me go back. We said that we have the Ask Me Anything. I'm going to go to my statistics page. I'm going to go to all the questions that I got asked for that last webinar. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go to a past webinar that I had, okay? And I'm going to go to the Q&A for this webinar. And I have all my questions here, okay? And I can look at all the questions that I got asked during the webinar. I can export it as CSV if I like, as an Excel sheet or something. And I can easily find which questions I can run a webinar on as a topic. Again, we're going to do a live webinar on that topic. And then again, like we said before, easy, create a webinar. There's going to be a live webinar. We're going to create that live webinar with that topic, just like we did before, okay? And we're going to schedule it. We're going to publish it. All good to go. One last thing I want to show you before I switch back to my slides. We talked about turning your webinar into an automated webinar, okay? So once you have that live webinar, we're going to take that recording and we're going to turn it into an automated webinar. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to hit Create Webinar. Okay, and then we're going to go Automated Webinar. We're going to give our Automated Webinar a title, whatever that is. Let's say this is the title of my webinar. And I'm just going to take my replay from a previous live webinar. So I just choose any of the webinars I did in the past. So I did this Ask Me Anything webinar. I'm going to put it, boom, this is the webinar replay. It's going to use the replay from that webinar. In our case, it's going to be the actual workshop that we did live. And then we're going to hit Create Webinar. As you can see, it's super simple to just use a recording and use it for an automated webinar. I remember somebody asked a question earlier about paid webinars. Any of our webinar types can be live, it can be free or paid. And we have an integration with Stripe that takes 2 minutes to integrate. And Stripe, what we love about Stripe is that it's a great integration. You also get paid faster than any other payment gateway. After your first payment, it only takes 48 hours to get paid out. And they have minimal fees and we take no fees whatsoever. We do this as a part of your system. Okay, let me get back to my slides. We've gone through all the steps for the first, let me just close share screen. Let me go to my slides. So we've gone through all these steps. We created our Ask Me Anything webinar. We built the webinar around that hot topic. We ran that live webinar. We turned that live webinar to an automated one to grow it on autopilot. Okay, great. So you might be saying, okay, I want to try this. I want to do this myself. This is where I kind of want to show you how you can get started right now. So these are just some of the companies that have run this system, have done exactly what I just showed you right now to build their businesses. These are some of our power users, people that love Webinar Ninja. And I want to share with you some of their experiences with Webinar Ninja. The main reason why these customers and all our customers join Webinar Ninja and use it is they love it because it's an enjoyable experience as a host. It's not overwhelming. It's not confusing. Everything is in one screen when you're running the webinar. It's also easy and a delightful experience for the attendees, people that are attending your webinar, right? This is important, that it's easy for them to use and to attend, as well as the fact that it's an all-in-one solution, right? They don't have to buy a whole bunch of software. Everything is in one place. They can do everything they need to do inside of Webinar Ninja.